Hi, welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast weekly reading. I'm Charlie. This week we are on chapter 23 of The Path of the Yoga Sutras by Nicolai Bachman. Just Asmita-Distorted sense of self. If you compare yourself to others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Max Ehrman. Asmita means I amness, is having a distorted image of ourselves that does not match reality. It is either egotism or insecurity, both of which are forms of delusion, because they do not represent the truth, that we are no longer better or worse than anyone else. Asmita is a mental emotional affliction because it makes us think that we are our body, we are our mind, and therefore we are our thoughts and emotions. It causes us to believe that our being is limited by things like our name, occupation, likes, and dislikes. Yoga teaches that our exterior shell, called the body, houses a pure inner light of awareness that is our true, permanent nature. We are this inner light, not that outer form. Some people believe they are better than others because of their accomplishments or status. The ego loves to win, and attention is its nectar. Fame and power naturally come to those who excel in certain fields. Often this fame and power can lead to conceit, pompousness, and self-centered actions. For example, a champion athlete brags after winning. A corporate executive treats her employees with derision. A wealthy person looks condescendingly at a janitor. This egotism contains an element of fear. The fear of eventually losing one's elevated position and power, which, with time, is inevitable. Few people enjoy the company of one who is arrogant or a bragger, while it is always refreshing to be around a leader or champion who is humble amid all his accolades. Power can corrupt. The ego likes to feel powerful and in control, so it welcomes this energy. Top-down chains of command, such as corporate ladders and religious or military hierarchies, are natural and necessary for a group of people to function effectively as a team. Yet all too often, the people at the top abuse the power they've acquired because they no longer care about the little guys on the bottom. Once we begin to think we have power over or are in any way better than other people, the heart mind moves away from yoga and deteriorates toward avidya. When we feel insecure and think we are less than, we actually are. Self-doubt rears its demoralizing head. For example, you are new to yoga and decide to attend a yoga asana class. On the mat next to you is a very advanced student. You are in pain. She is flowing like honey. Even after many weeks, it seems you will never catch up to her. Comparing yourself to others in this way can both inflate or deflate the ego, thereby engaging the asmita klesha. An insecure ego is terrified of relinquishing control. When it is threatened, asmita arises to defend it. The ego will go to any length in order to save face and avoid feeling embarrassed in any way, including risking life itself. Sometimes we want others to think we know more than we do, and thus to feel a bit more powerful. This combination of outer confidence with inner ignorance and insecurity is a form of delusion and deceit, and it can lead to serious consequences in both personal and business activities. For example, a quiet high school student is mocked relentlessly by bullies. He feels powerless and utterly humiliated. One day at school, he guns down the bullies before killing himself. His ego was able to reassert control one last time, if only for a few moments. and would rather die powerful than live with the consequences. An inflated ego can actually limit us. The narrow-minded view of a superiority complex closes us off from the most powerful potential. The realizations that those around us are reflections of ourselves and that treating others with kindness and respect will open doors of opportunity that would otherwise have remained closed. A healthy ego feels content and does not feel threatened by change. Sometimes a group of people feel happy and secure because of their common way of life and belief systems. When someone comes along who does not quite fit into that mold, acting differently than everyone is used to, the status quo is threatened. An ego that is rigid may be threatened by a nonconformist, even if what that individual does is actually good for the community. When we realize that the inner heart mind is distinct from, yet close to, the inner light of awareness, and that we are better off when the ego takes orders from the inner heart mind, then Asmita will not cause us suffering. Our actions will be governed by our higher inner intelligence instead of the ego, whose agenda is to make us think that we are the body and our personality as defined by our thoughts and emotions. Through practicing Kira Yoga, Asmita-Klesha can be weakened. To prevent pompousness, for example, we can first apply the tool of self-observation. By noticing when we receive extra attention, then implement positive change by consciously reminding ourselves that we are no better than anyone else, and finally transferring that attention to another entity by giving credit for the attention to our teachers. To prevent insecurity, we can first reflect on why we feel insecure, then make an effort to transform that feeling into something positive. And finally, have faith that deep in the center of our impermanent, changing body glows the eternal light of awareness. It is important to have a healthy ego in order to function in society. A weakened Asmita means that most of the time, we neither think of ourselves as better than others, nor see ourselves as less than others. And we welcome suggestions for self-improvement, even if they are difficult to hear. We are no longer embarrassed by verbal criticism and do not need to save face because our inner sense of self can withstand what it knows to be only external perceptions. As the saying goes, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. If we let what is harmful to us pass through and register only what is helpful to us, we will not become offended when verbal abuse comes our way. Whatever we identify with reveals our individual nature to a certain extent. Our physical body and personality are nothing more or less than our genetic nature overlaid with our life experiences. According to yoga, deep inside each person is the same divine light of awareness that never changes and that watches the world through our clear or foggy heart and mind. As Asmita weakens, we will realize that, in fact, we are better off treating others as we would like to be treated, and that we are no more or less important than anybody else. Once we allow ourselves to listen to our inner divine voice, then our ego becomes a servant instead of the master, and Asmita-Klesha is destroyed. We can truly embody the phrase namaste, which means I bow and acknowledge the pure light of awareness within you. Thoughts. Who am I really? Am I limited by the facade of external things such as my name, occupation, reputation, and preferences? I am no more or less important than anyone else. I will not be controlled or confined by an overinflated or underinflated sense of myself. Exercises. The next time you are in a class and feel too embarrassed to ask a question, Ask it anyway, and then reflect on how you feel afterward. The next time you feel peer pressure to attend an event that you really are not interested in, step back and see if you can muster the strength to say no. Think of situations in which you perceive yourself as better than those around you. See if there is something you can learn from each and every person in that situation. Thank you for joining us and listening in today on the Women in Leadership, Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast weekly reading. Come join us on the discussion on Facebook. Namaste.